Okay, that will crack.
I'm going to put
There we
up.
go.
Can you see anything coming?
It says to me that it's live on Facebook now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. One sec. Let's see what's happening. Yes, it looks like we are live. Amazing.
Yes.
So let me just pull it up and then I'll be able to see if we've got any comments coming through. So hello, everybody inside the Facebook group. I hope you're all doing really well today. We'll just wait a few moments and allow people to join us here.
Okay, that will crack.
Here we go. So hi guys, we've got a few people starting to join us here now. I'm here today with David Smith, and David is one of the students inside the Profitable Yoga Teacher program. And we're going to be talking about podcasting today. David has a podcast. We're going to be sharing some of his experiences of setting that up. So welcome, David. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Good stuff. So who's here with us today? Who is here? Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from, guys. Say hello. Let me know where you are watching from today. Who's here today with us? So yes, we will begin. And I think the best place to begin is always just to learn a little bit about you, David, and your journey to becoming a yoga teacher, how you made that transition. So do you want to start there for us just to set the scene?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm Australian. I come from a pretty normal Australian background, grew up on a farm, played football, drinking beers, partying. That was kind of my life for quite a while, which I enjoyed a lot. But as I got to sort of like my late 20s, I started to look for something a bit deeper, I suppose. And I kept facing these points in my life that my realities kept breaking apart, I suppose. I'd be really high, like I would be a good job, a good partner or something, and then things would crash down like pretty dramatically as well. Like I broke my leg, like my friend ran me over in a golf cart, broke my leg. I broke my collarbone playing football as well. I had always these kind of like crashing down moments. And it wasn't until sort of late 20s 30 where I started to just go like, all right, I'm gonna have to start cutting alcohol out of my life. I'm gonna have to start making a few different friends. And I started doing yoga just in my last year of football, just to help with my agility and help with my flexibility and stuff. And it really did help that. And then after that year, had a great year of football, but then I just felt like that was my last year. And then I had all this extra time on my hands. So I just started doing a lot more yoga. Instead of going to football training, I started going to yoga. So I did yoga 3-4 times a week. And I started to really get the sort of benefits, the energetic benefits, I suppose, and the expansive moments of my consciousness kind of rising, I suppose. It's not the best way to put it, but then I just went to a yoga retreat. I was like, all right, I want to do a yoga retreat. So I went up to Byron Bay and I went to this yoga retreat for a week. Just did yoga twice a day, was chanting, just fully threw myself in the deep end. That's kind of how I do it. And I just had a big moment in that week. And I just realized, all right, I'm just going to come back here and be a yoga teacher. So that's what I did. I went back to that community, lived there for a year, did my level 1, did my level 2, then left there, did a Vipassana. Then after that, then I was like, all right, I just want to go to the heart of it. Went all the way to India, spent about 8 months in India. And now I've been back from India for, I don't know, about 2 years now. No, a year and a half. And just continuing my path as a yogi, I suppose. And now trying to bring what I've learnt through these type of channels that we've got, through social media, through podcasts, through online courses, whatever it is. I feel like I've got a lot to offer. So I'm doing your course to try and bring all of this into something tangible that someone can grab and someone can understand, because that's kind of what really supported me as well when I was going through my mental health journey. Listening to podcasts, listening to people like Russell Brand, Joe Dispenza, these type of people, listening to them speak about overcoming mental health was such a huge inspiration for me. And I really could feel that it was possible to overcome mental health issues like depression and anxiety and things like that. So that's what drove me to create the podcast, essentially.
Amazing. So you're a fairly new yoga teacher, really, of just from the last couple of years since you got back from India. What experience did you have teaching in person?
So when I was at that community, I was teaching probably 2 or 3 times a week. So for about 10 months, part of the yoga teacher training at that place, the Krishna Village, you start teaching after week 3, I think, and you get taught how to teach as well as all the yogic philosophy. So it's quite a beautiful program. And that's kind of why I stayed there as well, is because they sort of support you through the next journey, is not only doing your 200-hour, but then also teaching people on retreat and stuff like that, and teaching private. So I spent probably a good 10 months to a year of sort of intensively teaching. And then I sort of went back out into the wide world, taught a little bit here and there, but then my journey just kept taking me inward into myself. So it didn't really, I'm at the stage now where I'm like ready to share all of that, but it kept just taking me more deeper into being receptive, into taking everything in. And the need to teach so much wasn't so high for me, I suppose, after that first year of teaching, because I was just, I don't know, feeling so much peace, feeling so much, just understanding what was happening inside of me, I suppose. So yeah, it's only in the last kind of year and a half where I've really felt like grounded enough to really start sharing and really start to like, share what I've integrated, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. And I always think it's really nice to just hear more about your journey and, your own personal journey and how that's kind of led and evolved into what you're sharing now in your business. And when you first started your business, you started it up as the Freedom Experiment, which is what your podcast is called. And we'll come back to that in a moment. But
Yep.
I want to just talk to you, or what I'd love for you to share, like, how the next stage is evolving in terms of your niche and what you're now planning to do.
Yeah, so the Freedom Experiments started of just I was very inspired, but yeah, my niche was too broad, and it's been broad for the whole time, pretty much for the last year or so. And since I did your course, even your smaller courses, you were always talking about niche, and the penny finally dropped after I did my meditation challenge at the start of the year, which I've still found was successful. I had 50 people sign up. I had about 20 people go all the way through it. I thought that's pretty good for a first ever online challenge. I'm happy with that. But what I found was I couldn't fully connect to the audience. I was very inspired to I could easily connect to the men that went through that program, but I couldn't so much with older women, to say. At the start of it, I thought I want to just share this with everyone, but I realized through that journey that I need to just be focusing on men. That's the background I've come from. I've come from eating meat, drinking beers, playing footy. And now I'm like pretty much vegan, don't drink beers, like love how healthy I am, do a lot of yoga, do a lot of meditation. And I've come a long way in the last 4 or 5 years. So I've got that's what I've got to share, I suppose. And I see my friends and they're still stuck in that cycle a little bit where they're kind of drinking themselves out of their problems, or they're not really coming out of it, to be honest. So right now, in the last kind of month, from the process of doing your course, I've really felt like, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing now. I'm creating a 6 to 8 week online course for men, and I'm going to create a men's an online summit for men to bring it all together. So, and I've already got a pretty solid network from the podcast that I was doing, and I just got a strong feeling that because it's heart based, it'll kind of reach a couple of those A-listers that I could maybe connect with, because I've connected with them actually as a student of theirs, or I've gone to their shows and given them a hug afterwards or something like that. Someone like Bruce Lipton or Russell Brand or something like that. And you never know if you just, I feel that if I create it right and really put my heart into it, then people like that can connect to it. So that's that's what I'm working on right now. So it's really, I'm really excited about what I'm creating right now. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I just wanted to kind of paint the picture of where you've come from, basically, like your own personal transformation that you've gone through, and how it's evolved to obviously becoming a teacher and thinking that it needs to be for everyone, because naturally we want to share yoga with everyone, and then the penny dropping, and then it's now going to evolve so that you can support men to go through that same transformation that you've been through yourself. And of course, when you're coming from that, your own story, it's so much more powerful. So it's really nice for us to paint that picture for people. Yes. But let's go back to the podcast, okay? So yes. What we're talking about today. And I think the Freedom Experiments, when did you launch the podcast?
I started it as just a Facebook group probably a year ago. And I only actually just put it up as a podcast maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I think, sort of during your program. But I was kind of doing like a video cast type of series on YouTube. YouTube and Facebook were my main two avenues. But then I started to, that kind of had its own journey of, I was really nervous when I started that. I just thought, I'm just going to do this. Like, I don't know how to interview people or whatever, but I've got a few friends that have already got 10,000 followers on Instagram or something, and I'll just start with them. And I did. And I found it was really fun, but it was also quite daunting to see yourself on the screen and to go, it's kind of like, oh man, I've created a TV show for myself. What am I doing? But and then I had these kind of like people really high up that I thought, wow, if I got them on my podcast, I would have kind of like made it type of thing. And I asked them and they said yes. And I got them on, and the podcast was amazing. I could really feel the energy behind it. I could really feel that I lifted to a certain level, and we were kind of like, it was really powerful what was coming through. So moments like that really inspired me to keep up with it, I suppose. There was a big journey of evolving through that journey of being a podcaster, I suppose. I started with no microphone, no headphones, just my video on my laptop. Now I've got a bit better of camera, microphone, headphones, and I put just an ad up on Facebook saying I need a graphic designer, and she found me through a video and just reached out, and she designed an awesome logo for me. And then when I actually put it on Audio Boom, that's when I felt really, really awesome that I could see it. It was up on Spotify, it was up on iTunes, and I think I've got maybe 8 or 9 podcasts on there at the moment. And I created a little jingle at the start with a friend, and it's really come together actually in the last
coming together.
Yes.
So what's the intention? Like, what's the idea and the focus around the podcast? Like, what are you speaking to people on? Topics are you speaking to people on?
We're talking about freedom. So it's like freedom internally, freedom within, essentially. And that can be quite broad, but I like to keep it like that because everyone's idea of freedom is really different. But especially when we're talking about yoga and we're talking about meditation, kind of talking about the goal of yoga, or like where we're heading towards. And it's this place of being free from the identity, or free from the ego, free from the conditioning of our past. So that is my main topic. And there's so many different ways to get there. Like, it doesn't have to be yoga, it doesn't have to be meditation. I've had someone in talking about plant medicine. I've had my Ayurveda teacher come on, and he's really deep into the Ayurvedic diet and into the Ayurvedic philosophy. And then someone that's more into Tantra or more into embodiment. So I think I really like the name, and I really like what I created, because it keeps it very broad for people to just give what they have to share, give their message through that avenue of freedom.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. And so what about your kind of research process? I guess you had like a hit list of people that you want to get on the podcast, which you kind of mentioned already, but what sort of process do you go through to research the guests and to approach them?
Yeah, there's a few Facebook groups that I'm involved in. So I put a post up on that once, and I got, I don't know, 20 or 30 people saying like, I'd love to come on your podcast. So I can get the link of that if you want and put it in the comments later. If people are thinking of starting their own podcast, that was kind of when my hit list started to get a little bit less, I suppose. But I'm always, there's people higher up on my hit list. Yeah.
Criteria. Do you have a criteria of like, you know, what you're really like the kind of top ideal as to what you would be looking for?
I like someone that's got a website. They've got a good message. They've
Yeah.
been in front of, like, they've got an audience and they've been in front of their own audience for a while, and they're really happy. They're really passionate about what they're talking about. So that always makes it a good podcast when they've got a solid understanding of their own message and even their own niche and even where they've come from. Then I can kind of sense that when I'm kind of looking through their own Instagram videos or Facebook videos. I can see, you can kind of see where someone's coming from, I suppose, and can see how
Yeah.
heart-based they are and how inspired and passionate they are. And it's like, yeah, like, because it's more about having a bit of fun on the podcast. Actually, I've found the good ones are when we're laughing and when we're really connecting human to human on that level, where we're both inspired to just share our stories and to just share our message. So that's kind of what I look for sure.
Amazing. Yeah. To have that connection so you can kind of bounce off each other. It just makes for much more like easier listening, and it's nicer for those listening into you.
Definitely.
And you kind of mentioned a little bit about the equipment, and you kind of started very kind of DIY, didn't really have much equipment and everything, but you just did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for you now? Like, have you kind of upgraded your equipment, and what have you needed to kind of get set up? Talk to us about the technicals and the systems that you're using.
Yeah. So it's not anything too major, but it's just a microphone, Audio Technica, and these headphones. I think they came together. I was doing a sound engineering course at the time, so I think they were like $160 or something for both of them. And I just upgraded my iPhone. I just went to the latest iPhone because the camera on that, this is the camera I'm using right now. So you can connect that to Zoom. I do all my interviews through Zoom because recording them, you get the video. You get the video and the audio. I went through Audio Boom is the software that I use, which is really great. It's really easy to use. It's really easy to send out to iTunes and Spotify. And the software I use just to edit it is just like iMovie, just like a simple one that's free type thing. I think that's about it. Yeah.
It's simple to get
It's
set
actually
up.
simple, yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes people think, oh gosh, it's going to be really complicated. How am I going to do that? How am I going to get it out to those platforms? But I mean, we use Audio Boom for the Yogipreneur, and it is really simple. They do the streaming out to the other platforms. So
Exactly,
kind of all handled for you.
Mm-hmm.
What about any fears that you've had to overcome personally to actually get this up and running?
Yeah, massive fears of just talking in front of an audience, like sharing in front of my friends and family. I'm always seem to be breaking through that. And it does come up, even with today's one. I'm like, oh, do I have enough to share? And it's kind of like go for a cold swim and realize, like, man, I've got this type of thing. Like I've got heaps to share. So there's always, I've kind of enjoyed the challenge of putting myself out there. Like it's a different journey than doing yoga and meditation. It's so inward and it's so personal. But this journey has kind of been, it's putting yourself out there, putting yourself in front of other people, and then the resistance that comes up through that, and the conditioning. Am I good enough? Do I sound all right? Do I look all right? All these types of things, they do come up, and it's another avenue towards kind of being free also, because you realize you're empowering yourself. I suppose I feel empowered every time I do a podcast, especially a good podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, freedom from the fears.
Yes.
You are not your fears,
You're
exactly.
not, yes.
And so you started in the Profitable Yoga Teacher program with me in September. Before you came into that program, like what kind of gaps do you feel, like reflecting back now, what gaps in your knowledge did you have?
Yeah, a lot about marketing, a lot of like how to tie it all together, like how to even create the meditation challenge. Like I would have never like been able to go onto MailerLite and send out automated emails. And yeah, and like even focusing in on the niche, and it's like your program, pretty much everything in your program I wasn't really up to speed with, so that's why I did it, I suppose. But yeah, what else would I say? There's a lot more than that, but I can't think of it right now.
What about the content? How have you felt like your content has evolved? Do you feel
Yes.
like you're more focused with it?
Yeah, my content at the moment is a little bit stagnant because I'm like rebranding, as I'm saying. So I'm like, am I wasting time by trying to like keep this Facebook page alight or keep this Instagram account alight if I'm really not focusing in on that niche, which is where the content comes easily. So currently right now, it's all been a little bit stagnant. But when I was really moving with it, I wrote a few blogs, and I was like I was really surprised about how I could actually write a blog, and how I could, and that blog actually taking that apart into like 3 or 4 different good Facebook posts. I was really, really happy with how easily it came from me, I suppose, and how easy it actually was. Repurposing, yeah.
Content, yeah. And I've
Yes.
seen you've been doing some IGTV lives as well,
Yeah.
which is great, you know, for getting yourself out there.
Mm.
So what do you feel like kind of moving forward in terms of the new strategies that you're learning? Like, how do you see that fitting into your business now?
So currently I'm going to create this men's online summit, and I'm
Yeah.
aiming for 1,000 people to come, which is quite low. They can get a lot more than that, but it's just a good thing to start. And that'll be the start of my new community, essentially. So it'll be the start of my men's community. And then from that, I'm just going to just keep sharing to that. So I'm not sure if I'm going to link my Instagram to that, or if my Instagram's still going to be personal or not. I'm actually not sure about that, but I do know that this summit is going to launch me into like build my new community, and it will also be an avenue towards my online course.
Amazing. So will you open up a Facebook group for that community as well? Like, how are you planning on actually hosting your summit? Talk to us a little bit about your plans for that.
I'm going through two different options at the moment. One's through Teachable and a Facebook group. The other one is through something I've found called Mighty Networks, which is its own. You know it? Yeah.
I do, yeah.
That's actually looking the most attractive because the user experience looks quite good, and there's an app that you can get as well. So there's a lot of men that they're just on their phones when they're at work and stuff. So, and it's kind of more of a community, the actual online summit is. So I'm thinking I'm going to go down that path and hold the summit in Mighty Networks, and then I'll have an engaged community already that I can then, it also hosts courses as well. Then I can host my course through that. And there's also an idea to actually make my network kind of, it could be like a wider network that actually holds other men's courses also. That's my new idea.
I like that. So
Yeah.
lots of ideas coming out of this, which is really great. And
Yes.
Mighty Networks is actually, I'm actually a member inside. There's this guy called Sardis Simone. I don't know if you've come across him.
No.
He's pretty cool. He's pretty sassy, let's say.
Okay. Yeah.
It's called it's actually called the Spiritually Sassy membership.
Okay.
And it inside Mighty Network. So, you know, from a user experience, it's actually a really good experience. Like, I love going in there in the mornings and doing my meditations with him.
Okay.
You've got like there's like chat rooms and different kind of forums in there as well. So it's pretty good. I love that you're doing that. You'll have to let us know your experiences of it. as well.
Definitely. Definitely.
Amazing. So well done, David. You've got
Thank
so
you.
many things coming up. Really, really
Yes.
proud of you.
Thank you.
And just kind of share with us, like, what is your kind of future vision? Like, where do you see this going in the next few years? Like, what are your aspirations and goals?
I have, I'm a big dreamer. I have big goals, but I'm not attached. I'm already very content with how my life is. I'm already content with the day to day, the way everything is already unfolding. I'm already so happy and grateful for. But yeah, where I really this new project actually, I really see me creating Men Evolve Network and it hosting yearly summits and being the first avenue where men go to when they go like, I want to level up, like what's going on mentally with me. And they just come into this channel and then it's not only my online course that they'll see, it'll be other men's courses also. And it'll just be a beautiful community that we can all support each other and evolve together essentially because it's an ongoing process. So I see this next stage actually being quite successful and bringing that revenue that I need to make it a sustainable business where I can live like I am now, like I'm living in Portugal, and I've got a little bit of money behind me, but it's going to run out in 6 months if I don't do something like this. So, and that's kind of the yogi life, isn't it? We kind of like to travel and be free and stuff, but actually that's what I love about your course is it's like, no, we need to actually make money also. That's okay. We need to support ourselves. So I see myself being financially successful. I see myself bringing in 6 figures a year, and I see myself having an engaged community of thousands of men coming through, and I see a lot of men expanding through what I have to offer. That's the main thing, I suppose, is that's where my heart is like I really just want to create something that men can feel safe enough to go through the journey that I've been through.
Amazing. You know, you've given me goosebumps. I can really feel that. I can feel your passion and love for what you're doing and you know, what you're going to be sharing with the world. So amazing. You're incredible, David. Thank you so much for coming on here today with me and sharing with our community here of
Yes.
digital yogis. And yeah, really excited to see all of that come into fruition because it certainly will.
Yes,
Thank
I can
you,
feel it.
David.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you to the audience too.
Thanks. Give David some love, everybody, and a high five. Perfect. Thanks, David. Yeah, exactly. Amazing. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Will do. Thank you.
I'll see you this week in the Profitable Yoga Teacher Q&As and group and stuff. So
Yes.
thank you. See you soon.
Cheers, Kelly. See ya.
Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye.